I love the Netherlands. The towns are cute, the people are incredibly friendly and to the point, and the infrastructure is world class. Initially, the landscape is a little bit boring, given that it's pretty much completely flat, but once you start looking closer, especially at the water engineering feats, it can be amazing. There's a saying, God made the world, but the Dutch made the Netherlands, because over a quarter of the country is below sea level. It's also one of the most densely populated countries in the world, so things have to be organised well for it to function. And it has millennia of human development. So there's an incredible amount of history here, some natural history, but more human-centric history. After spending almost a year in the Netherlands, here are some of the things we really appreciated. And some we found a little bit annoying, and some which are just downright interesting. Obviously this is a very subjective list from the point of view from someone from New Zealand. Here are some of the best things. How easy it is to cycle everywhere. This is completely different from New Zealand. In the Netherlands, there are bike lanes everywhere. It's incredibly safe, bikes trump everything including cars or walking, and nobody cares what you're riding. The roading system is awesome. It has some of the best roads in Europe, and the Dutch are so good at building bridges because of the amount of dikes and canals that roadworks here are completed in record time. The down-to-earth practicality of the people. Coming from a more English-centric country where politeness often trumps practicality, the Netherlands strikes you as a no-nonsense type of country. If there's a more efficient way of doing things, they'll generally find it, despite hurting some feelings. Even though the country is densely populated, it's very easy to find nature. You can be in the middle of a huge city like Rotterdam, but in a few minutes cycling, be on the side of a beautiful river with barely a house in sight. It seems like they cram lots of people into small spaces so they can keep their green spaces. It feels very egalitarian. There's no ostentatious display of wealth or obvious massive gap between rich and poor. Even the rich businessman down the street who has a Ferrari, quietly tucked away, still cycles around and has a modest house. Here are some of the worst things. The traffic. Despite having a great roading system, the traffic can be terrible. But I guess that's to be expected with the population density, and it encourages you to bike even more if you can. The drivers tend to stick within the rules, but they seemed more aggressive than expected, tailgating and not letting you in being some of the main gripes. The amount of dog poop around. Almost everyone has a dog here, so it's inevitable there'll be some poop, but it was almost everywhere. On the pavements, every grassy berm, in parks. It's not a major issue unless you have kids, like we do, who tend to like to walk on the grass and not look where they're stepping. Everybody is tall, and it makes me feel short. And as a balding man, don't talk to me about their nice wavy hair. The weather is a national joke. It's either too cold and rainy most of the time, or it's too hot in the very brief summer period. But this does make you do things despite the weather. You just wear more appropriate clothing. And lastly, the English is incredible, and it makes it very difficult if you want to learn Dutch. Some other interesting things about the Netherlands. Everyone looks in your window when they walk past your house, and no one closes their curtains in their living area. Their health and safety laws are very relaxed. Most things seem to be at your own risk. We watched a cherry picker drive down a crowded street with a guy trimming some branches to fall on the pavement. All the while there were pedestrians, bikes and cars just flowing around it. In New Zealand there would have been cones and barriers blocking the street and about 10 road workers controlling traffic. Even though they're one of the most densely populated countries in the world, they still export much of their food they produce. In fact, they're the second largest exporter of vegetables in the world, which is incredible. They have a top-notch food production system. And lastly, there are more bicycles than people here, and no one cares what you ride. There's actually no excuse for not cycling here.